Hey, Leap Inspire family. What if one fleeting moment could unravel the secrets of a broken past and rebuild a future you thought was lost forever? Picture a soldier, haunted by a love stolen by betrayal, crossing paths with three scrappy orphans selling flowers on a dusty street. Their desperate plea sparks a journey that unearths a shattering truth and a chance at redemption. This is the story of Chris and Sarah, whose grit, heart, and unbreakable bond with three lost children will leave you believing in second chances. Stay with us for the next 25 minutes as we dive into a tale of pain, hope, and a leap that changed everything. Ready to be moved? Let's go! The sun beat down on Mission Hills, its dusty streets alive with vendors shouting and scooters honking. Chris Salazar, a former police chief now serving as an Army Scout Ranger, walked past the old stone church, his heart heavy with a familiar ache. 5 years ago, his world shattered when Sarah, his wife, and the love of his life, vanished without a trace. He traded his badge for a soldier's uniform, driven by a restless need to serve, but her memory clung to him like the jasmine sit in the air. "Sir, please buy our flowers. Only 2 left." A small, dirt-streaked boy tugged at his sleeve. Chris looked down into the wide, pleading eyes of 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, no older than 5, their faces so alike they could only be triplets. Their clothes were tattered, their hands calloused from work no child should know. "Have a heart, sir," the girl said, her voice trembling on the edge of tears. "Just $1 so we can eat. We're starving," the second boy added, scratching his matted hair. Their words struck Chris like a bullet. These kids, so young, already carried the weight of the world. "Where are your parents?" he asked, kneeling to their level, his voice soft but firm. "We don't have any," the girl said, her eyes downcast. "Grandma raised us, but she died last year. We take care of ourselves now. You're too young to be working," Chris said, his brow furrowing. "No relatives to look after you." The older boy, who seemed to lead the trio, shook his head defiantly. "They don't want us. We're fine on our own." Chris's heart twisted. He'd seen hardship in his years as a cop, but this hit differently. "You should be protected. Ever heard of CPS?" Fear flashed across their faces. "No, sir, please," the girl cried. "They'll split us up. We're all we've got." He softened, raising his hands in surrender. "All right, no CPS. I'll buy your flowers. Here's $100. Go get some food." Their eyes widened in disbelief, and before he could react, they threw their arms around him in a fierce group hug. "Thank you, sir," the girl squealed, pressing 2 jasmine garlands into his hands. The trio darted off, their laughter echoing down the street. Chris stood frozen, clutching the flowers, an unexplainable ache blooming in his chest. Their faces, so familiar, yet impossible to place. "Chief, back in Mission Hills?" A voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Escond, a former colleague from the police force, grinned broadly. "Just passing through," Chris said, forcing a smile. He hadn't been, Chief, since Sarah left, the weight of her absence too heavy to carry alongside his badge. "Ever think of coming back?" "Crime spiking," Escond said, clapping his shoulder. "Same old cases," Chris chuckled, though his mind was elsewhere. "I'm with the Army now, Scout Rangers." Escond's jaw dropped. "Special Forces? Man, you don't mess around." Chris gave a half-hearted pat on Escond's back, his thoughts drifting back to the triplets. He was on a 2-month leave before returning to the countryside, but something urged him to find those kids again. Their eyes, their resilience, it stirred a memory he couldn't shake. 2 weeks later, Chris returned to the church, its bells chiming softly. A cheerful voice stopped him at the steps. Sir, hey, handsome. It was the little girl, her clothes cleaner, her smile brighter. Selling flowers again? He asked, kneeling to meet her gaze. Yes, sir. We've been waiting to thank you, she said, flashing a gap-toothed grin. I'm Molly. My brothers are Max and Maddie. We're triplets. Chris ruffled her hair, charmed. Where are they now? Selling at other spots to earn more, Molly said proudly. Your $100 bought us rice for a week. His heart sank. Rice? That's all they could afford? Have you eaten today? He asked. Not yet, but maybe soon, she said, hope shining in her eyes. Come on, let's hit Chick-fil-A, Chris said, grinning as her face lit up like a sunrise. Oh, sir, that's too much, Molly protested, but she eagerly called her brothers. At the restaurant, the triplets devoured their chicken sandwiches, their joy contagious. We usually just watch people eat through the windows, Maddie admitted, his mouth full. One time, they kicked us out for smelling bad, Molly added, her voice small. Chris's chest tightened. These kids deserve better. Study hard, okay? So you can eat whatever you want someday. We're saving for school next year, Max said, his eyes bright with determination. Molly handed Chris a bracelet woven from seashells. We made this for you, sir. You're so kind. Tears pricked his eyes as he slipped it on. Thank you, Molly. This means the world. As they waved goodbye, running back to their flower-selling spot under a shaded tree, Chris vowed to help them, no matter the cost. Miles away, in the rolling hills of the countryside, Sarah prepared for another day at Lubbock Elementary, a rural school with plywood walls and tin roofs. The morning air was cool, but her sister Lucy's voice was sharp. You've been teaching for years, Sarah, and what do you have? Nothing, her mother piled on. Why can't you be like Lucy? She bought us a house, and you're still freeloading. Sarah forced a smile, grabbing her borrowed scooter. When I'm a millionaire, I'll buy us a mansion. For now, let me crash, okay? Lucy rolled her eyes. You're a burden, Sarah. Sarah said nothing, speeding off to the school she loved. Teaching was her sanctuary, her way to give back. The kids in these hills had little. Some walked miles barefoot, so she spent her salary on snacks, books, and pencils to spark joy in their eyes. Good morning, Miss Sarah. Ben, a bright-eyed student, greeted her with a hug. Brought you bread and juice, she said, ruffling his hair. You're such good kids. You're a blessing. A fellow teacher, Mia, said warmly. These children deserve this. The principal, Mrs. Campbell, gathered the staff. We're hosting a feeding program Monday. Soldiers are coming with food and toys. Sarah, you'll welcome them. Yes, ma'am, Sarah said, her heart lifting. The next day, she rode to the town church to pray, her thoughts heavy with memories of her lost triplets, children she'd carried but never held. As she left, a small voice stopped her. Ma'am, buy some jasmine? Only $1. It was Molly, her eyes sparkling. Sarah's heart clenched, and she hugged the girl without thinking. Oh, sorry, Sarah stammered, pulling back, but Molly hugged her again. You smell like a mom, Molly said softly. I'm Molly. I sell flowers with my brothers, Max and Maddie. Sarah laughed, buying 6 garlands. You're quite the businesswoman. We hustle, Mom, Molly said proudly. You're a teacher? You'd look perfect with that handsome soldier I met. Sarah giggled, charmed by her boldness. Matchmaking already? What if he's married? He's not, Molly insisted, grinning. You two would be so cute together. Sarah ruffled her hair, her heart aching with a longing she couldn't name. If her triplets had lived, they'd be Molly's age. Monday morning, Sarah stood at Lubbock Elementary, welcoming the soldiers. The school's worn walls vibrated with the children's excitement. Chris, among the troops, froze when he heard the principal say, "Miss Sarah." Is Sarah here? His heart pounded as he scanned the grounds, spotting her corralling a group of noisy kids. "Form a line," she called, then crashed into him, her clipboard clattering to the ground. "Ow!" she explained, rubbing her forehead. "Sarah," Chris whispered, his voice catching. She froze, her eyes wide with shock, then turned to walk away. He grabbed her hand gently. "You're running again?" "Let go," she said, her voice icy. "I'm happy without you. Why are you here? You vanished for 5 years, and you're angry?" Chris's voice broke, tears welling. "I'm your husband, Sarah." "Husband?" She laughed bitterly. "Were you ever?" His heart shattered as she stormed off. Later, her colleagues teased her about the handsome soldier, watching her. "You two have a past, don't you?" Camille said, smirking. "I don't know him," Sarah lied, shutting down the gossip. That evening, heavy rain turned the hills into a muddy trap. "How will you get home?" Mia asked Sarah, eyeing the flooded roads. "I can't leave my scooter," Sarah said, worried. "I'll take you," Chris offered, stepping forward with his military jacket. "I'll bring you back tomorrow." Her friends gasped. "You know each other?" "No," Sarah snapped, but she reluctantly accepted his help, pulling his jacket tight against the chill. As they rode through the rain, his warmth behind her stirred old memories she'd fought to bury. The following Sunday, Sarah returned to the church, seeking peace. She spotted Molly, who ran to her, tears streaming. "Miss Sarah, a man took Max and Maddie." "What?" Sarah's heart raced. "Who?" "Ben, a thug." Molly sobbed. "He takes our money. We didn't pay him, and now they're gone. We're going to the police," Sarah said, hugging her tightly. "They won't help," Molly said. "They laugh at us." "I'll make them listen," Sarah promised, leading her to Chick-fil-A to calm her nerves. As they sat, Molly shouted, "Officer Chris." Sarah groaned as he approached. "Miss Sarah, this is the soldier," Molly said, beaming. "Isn't he handsome?" "Not really," Sarah muttered, avoiding his gaze. Chris smirked. "Mind if I sit? It's packed." Sarah sighed. "Fine." Molly shared her brother's plight. "I'm not a cop anymore, but I'll help," Chris said, ruffling her hair. "We'll find them. I hope you two end up together and adopt us," Molly said innocently, making Sarah's heart skip. Working together, they tracked Max and Maddie to a rundown warehouse, finding them bruised but alive. Sarah's fury boiled as she hugged them. "You're safe now," she whispered. She rented a small apartment for the triplets, refusing to let them return to the streets. "You're staying with me," she told them. "Thank you, Miss Sarah," Max said, helping unpack. "We'll repay you and Officer Chris someday. Just stay safe," Sarah said, tears in her eyes. "That's enough." Chris became a fixture in their lives, showing up with groceries, fixing leaks, and teasing Sarah. "Good morning, Miss Sarah," he grinned, arriving as she cooked pork adobo for the kids. "Nothing's good about seeing your face," she'd snap, but the kids' laughter softened her edges. "You two are like a cat and dog fighting," Molly said. "Grandma said that means you'll fall in love." "Never," Sarah shot back, but Chris's persistence chipped away at her walls. He drove the kids to school, helped with homework, and brought ice cream, earning their adoration. One Sunday, as Sarah cooked for the triplets, Chris knocked, offering to do their laundry. "What are you doing here again?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Your laundry guy, reporting for duty," he said with a salute, handing Molly a tub of ice cream. The kids squealed, tackling him with hugs. Sarah rolled her eyes but let him in. As he scrubbed clothes, Max whispered, "Miss Sarah, he looks tired. Let him rest. Let him be," she said, but guilt nudged her. She approached Chris. "I'll finish that." "No way," he said, smiling. "It's your day off. I've got this." "What's your deal, Chris?" she asked, voice sharp. "Why do you keep showing up?" "You," he said softly, his eyes distant. "You and the kids. For 5 years, Sarah, I searched for you. How do you find someone hiding from you?" Her breath caught. "Did you ever ask why I left?" "Every day," he said, his voice cracking. "What did I do wrong?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "You really want the truth? Come with me." She dropped the kids off at a neighbor's and led him to the town cemetery, stopping at a gravestone. Kirk Kane and Shane K. "Our triplets," she whispered, sobbing. "I lost them because of your family, Chris. Your mother, your sisters, they treated me like a maid. I begged you to move out, but you wouldn't leave them. I couldn't stay." Chris's tears fell as he pulled her into a hug. "Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to ruin your family," she said. "But they broke me." "I'm so sorry, Sarah," he whispered, holding her tighter. Days later, Chris stormed into his family's home. "What did you do to our children?" he demanded. His mother broke down. "We thought Sarah wasn't good for you. Did you have anything to do with their deaths?" he pressed, his voice trembling with rage. "We didn't," his father insisted, but his mother's guilty eyes told another story. Chris walked out, vowing never to return. Months passed, and Chris and Sarah grew closer, their bond strengthened by their love for the triplets. One evening, Chris surprised them with a trip to the beach. The kids blindfolded Sarah, leading her to a simple altar adorned with white flowers. Their friends and colleagues cheered as Chris waited, dressed neatly, his eyes full of emotion. "If you don't want this run," he said softly, "I'll let you go." Tears streamed down her face. "I thought this was for the kids." "It's for us," he said. "And the triplets, they're ours, Sarah. Our children alive." She gasped, her world tilting. Molly, Max, and Maddie, their lost triplets, reunited by fate. Overwhelmed, they renewed their vows, the kids beaming as their mom and dad. Sarah wore a simple white dress, Molly in a matching one with faux fur trim. The beach glowed with hope, their love rekindled. Years later, the triplets thrived in school, their resilience shining. Molly won a scholarship to study abroad. "You're leaving us?" Max asked, frowning. "We're all going," Sarah said, smiling at Chris. "Family sticks together." They moved to Canada, building a new life. One evening, Chris and Sarah visited his parents, the triplets in tow. "We're here to forgive," Chris said, his voice steady. "We want peace." His mother sobbed, hugging Sarah. "I'm so sorry." Sarah nodded, tears falling. "We forgive you." As they stood together, Chris wrapped his arms around Sarah. "I love you," he whispered. "You and the kids are my world." "I love you too," she replied, her heart free at last. From pain and loss, they'd built a family, their love stronger than ever. Hey, Leap Inspire family. If this story of Chris, Sarah, and their triplets moved you, hit that subscribe button and join us for more tales of hope and triumph. Let love lead. Until next time.